currently in Air Canada, stuck here. Random bag search, so with nothing in our bags. So now we're currently either getting our bags and going home or going to a private jet where we can also go home. So you guys are either in Houston or Detroit. She said go for it.
She's so gangster. Send it.
So we're now doing a private jet for an obscene amount of money, but we're gonna do it for Cali. For you, Cali, we do anything. Te quiero mucho, mi hermana. Arriba, out.
Investigations are still ongoing into the murder of Celeste Rivers Hernandez. Of course, after her remains were found in the trunk of the Tesla Cybertruck belonging to renowned artist David. Now, I broke the case on this channel, and this is an update. So, as at the time of putting out this episode, David was supposed to have been on tour, but his tour has been cancelled. And I think there are some key implications of this. Investigators have also unraveled some things. Search warrants have been issued. Searches have been done. And it's been reported a laptop has been uncovered. So many things are happening in between on this case. And I'm bringing you the updates in this episode just so you begin to appreciate where this investigation is getting to, the developments that have come up, and how David is also responding or reacting to this, and whether he's now being treated as a suspect or he's still being looked at as a person of interest. So, per where the last episode left off, the remains that were found in this Cybertruck had now been identified as Celeste Rivers. And in fact, it was established that Celeste Rivers Hernandez was allegedly in a romantic relationship with David. And she had been missing as at May of 2024. And guess what? It was also established that within the time frame of this alleged romantic relationship with David, she was underage. So that creates an offense in itself. But let's put that aside. Latest developments coming in indicates that police have obtained and executed a search warrant at a premises in Los Angeles that was determined to have been rented by David and actually had this Tesla Cybertruck parked close to where it was then towed and the remains of Celeste Rivers were found. So my research shows that this search warrant was obtained and executed by the police, and they allegedly took away a laptop belonging to David. Now, I'm sure you'll be wondering how crucial that is. Let me break it down a bit, and then I take you to the next thing. When it comes to criminal investigations, it's important to appreciate the fact that in soliciting or obtaining evidence or gathering evidence, it's not just about what is obvious. It's also about looking at possible mediums that certain things could have been exchanged, which would leave traces of information that can be used as evidence. And in our digital age, a laptop is one of the key things, particularly since the victim and so-called person of interest, David, seem to be from the Gen Z era, obviously, and seem to be very dominant online, because there are several displays of their messages on Discord, Twitch, and other places where you see them together with other Gen Zs, and there are several coded messages out there being read into by various conspiracy theorists with regards to what has now happened to Celeste. So obtaining the laptop definitely would give investigators the opportunity to have a chance at obtaining some digital evidence in one form or the other. And I bet they may find something, because although David is not being looked at as a suspect, but rather as a person of interest who is actually alleged to be cooperating with the police, I believe that he may not come out of this fully clean. It would be either that he will be found to be the main suspect based on an evidence they may find as the investigation progresses, or even if he's able to beat that bit, they may still find something that implicates him for being romantically involved with a teen. I don't think this guy comes out of this unscathed. That is my view. So that is the bit about the laptop allegedly being taken from this rented apartment that David was staying in Los Angeles. Now, the next thing is his store being cancelled, and not just his store, but every promotional activity about his brand and music has allegedly been halted by his label. And somebody was discussing this with me and suggesting that they shouldn't do that because he hasn't been found guilty. From that perspective, it seems to hold some water. But if you flip it from where I'm coming to explain from, you realize it makes sense, because if he's on tour, he's mobile. His tour may even take him out of the US. Imagine he's out of the US on tour and there's a groundbreaking discovery of evidence which now points to him as a key suspect, and he decides not to come back. Yeah. And aside that, most often in such situations, companies or brands who are very, very particular about social perception would want to either distance themselves from such an artist or take actions that seek to support the efforts of law enforcement, so that it gives them the chance and support to do their job effectively and get to the bottom of the issue. And I think that is exactly what the label is doing. I, for one, I agree with them. Now, the family of Celeste Rivers in themselves are also talking about the fact that prior to her disappearing, the last night they saw her before she disappeared was when she left home telling them that she was going to see a movie with David. That was the last time anyone saw her. So all this keeps pointing back to David. And there's even an alleged TikTok video out there. I didn't want to show it because it's not being confirmed or corroborated, but this video allegedly is depicting that it was put out by one of the teachers from a school where Celeste had been before while she was into David, and she had apparently told some of her friends about what she was doing with David and a whole lot of things. Somebody was asking if this would be an admissible evidence to support the investigation. I'm no expert, but I don't think it would be an admissible evidence. I think it may be a source of information to possibly inform law enforcement and investigators on other things they may be looking at, or on other things they may have to look at per what the video may point to, just to see what is there and what's not there. But they would have to still corroborate everything the video is saying in order for it to be qualified as a substantial evidence to be used for anything. That is what I think. But all in all, you can tell that there are interesting days ahead for David. And if you listen to his lyrics, it's being read into by people saying that he's sort of self-snitching and confessing on what he has done. But, you know, there are artists who have said certain things in their songs, but those things, although they said them, do not necessarily depict they've committed a crime. So, for example, Bob Marley said, "I shot the sheriff, but I didn't shoot the deputy." You can't tell that Bob Marley has shot a sheriff but spared the deputy. He has committed a crime because a sheriff has been shot. No, it doesn't work that way. But then, it would speak to the totality of everything happening around such an artist. That is what makes David's case a bit unique, because he talks about certain things he has done to a certain person, a female, in a song, and it can be looked at in the context of it being just a song. But then if you look at what has come up in the form of this case that is still ongoing and look back at the lyrics of those songs, you then begin to wonder if that was him pouring out his guilty conscience in a song about what he may eventually be suspected as having done. Just put those two and two together and I'm sure you get where I'm coming from. Now, people are also wondering why, as at now, he hasn't been arrested. And some were talking about the fact that maybe it's because he's a big artist, he has ties with Hollywood and big players in the music industry. I don't think that is it. If you are familiar with law enforcement agencies and their investigations, usually when it comes to cases like this, which are deemed quote-unquote high profile, they move with caution. Not caution in terms of they being intimidated by the status of the person. No. Caution with regards to they want to make sure it is foolproof. Because usually such people have a fan base. They can try to control the narrative. They can try to literally frustrate the system and things being done. And they may have access to powerful defenses and lawyers as well. So you have to make sure the case you are presenting is airtight and no turn is left on stone, no stone is left unturned, as I always say. So that is what I believe they are trying to achieve, to present a solid airtight case which has no loopholes or no gray areas for him to try to manipulate with his defense team if they should finally get him as a key suspect. But definitely, the more I research on this case, the more, in my view, David is looking like he is going to end up in trouble. I'm following the case, but before I wrap up, I would also appeal you go to the comment section and put out a condolence message to the family of Celeste Rivers Hernandez, because, you know, we bring you these stories, and I know some of you actually are fans of true crime cases, and that I respect it. But we also need to appreciate that these are true stories. So it's happening to the loved one of a family, and they are going through it right now. Go to the comment section, just be kind to them and leave them a message. Imagine this goes to trial. They are going to relive the whole thing over and over. And trust you me, it's not an easy thing. My heart goes out to them and her loved ones. May she rest in peace. And from how things are going, I have a feeling that the justice that is being pursued would actually be achieved not long from now. Subscribe, turn on the post notification, watch our other videos and let me know your views on it. Hey, and guess what? We have true crime cases from Africa as well. Look it up. I'll catch you on the next one.